Teorias da conspiração. Você conhece aquela teoria da conspiração que dizem que o TikTok fora da China tem algoritmos diferentes do TikTok dentro da China? Basicamente, que dentro da China ele indica diferentes conteúdos, principalmente para crianças e adolescentes, ele indica conteúdos mais informativos, ou que ajudem a desenvolver novas habilidades, ou que aumentem a capacidade cognitiva, melhore a capacidade cognitiva das crianças e adolescentes, enquanto fora da China ele faz o oposto. Ele basicamente só veicula entretenimento vazio, dando preferência a esses conteúdos e jogando em escanteio conteúdos mais informativos ou que levem ao questionamento. É óbvio que dentro da China também questionamento não é algo forte. Mas do ponto de vista do intelecto, sim, eles estimulam bastante. Não do ponto de vista político, por motivos óbvios. Mas será que essa teoria é verdade? O que eu coloco aqui a seguir é uma entrevista com o próprio do TikTok, ele falando a respeito de como eles evitam, e por que eles evitam que as crianças e adolescentes usem o TikTok dentro. Vejam a seguir.
In their version of TikTok, if you're under 14 years old, they show you science experiments you can do at home, museum exhibits, patriotism videos, and educational videos. And they also limit it to only 40 minutes per day. Now, they don't ship that version of TikTok to the rest of the world. So it's almost like they recognize that technology is influencing kids' development, and they make their domestic version a spinach version of TikTok, while they ship the opium version to the rest of the world.
The version served to the West has kids hooked for hours at a time. The impact, Harris says, is predictable.
There's a survey of preteens in the US and China asking what is the most aspirational career that you want to have. And in the US, the number one was influencer.
Social media influencer.
And in China, the number one was astronaut. Again, you allow those two societies to play out for a few generations, I can tell you what your world is going to look like.
Please welcome Andrew, the CEO of TikTok, shouzichew.
I want to start, if we could, just with a little bit of your own personal background, because more than a decade ago, you were an intern at Facebook.
Yes, I was.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if you ever imagined that you were going to end up running their now biggest competitor.
Well, the short answer is no. Absolutely not. That's been a journey. It's been unbelievable. I couldn't have imagined 10 years ago.
Here in the U.S., as you know, but there seems to be some bipartisan agreement around TikTok and what is perceived as the danger of it, and this idea that it is ultimately controlled by the Chinese and therefore the Chinese government. What do you think?
I think, first of all, that we take all these concerns very seriously. We have been studying them, and for the last couple of years, the kind of requests that we are disclosing.
One of the things, though, that people wonder about is the algorithm, the famous algorithm. I want to get into how well that algorithm works, but the idea that you can separate the algorithm and the technology completely and utterly in the United States versus having to be somehow connected to China.
The algorithm is separate today. The code is also separate at this point in time. It's machine learning. So the algorithm is trained by input. And TikTok doesn't operate in China. TikTok operates here in the US, operates in many other countries around the world. And that's the input that is training the algorithm. So the algorithm is very separate today.
But so our understanding that the original algorithm was a ByteDance algorithm, you think is old news?
This is definitely very outdated. There is some original code. I think that's what you meant. Mm-hmm. There's some original code, but the code has been split up ages ago.
You made an interesting comment about the U.S. version of TikTok being very different than the Chinese version, effectively.
The U.S. version is different from the U.K. version.
But let me ask you this. The Chinese version, you could argue, is censored. You agree with that?
Douyin has to follow Chinese. Douyin is the Chinese company that has the short video product. Douyin has to follow Chinese media laws.
And so when you think about those media laws, and then you think about what you're doing here in the U.S., one of the things that those media laws are trying to do, for example, is to prevent children from getting addicted to scrolling on TikTok. In the U.S., that doesn't exist. Should it?
first of all, we take minor safety extremely seriously. I also want to describe how the platform actually works.
Please.
It's user-generated content. So the content that you're going to see is generated by users. Here in the US and in the UK and other places where TikTok operates, we do have rules. The way TikTok works is that we do have about 13 rules. We call these rules community guidelines.
But do you see over time, I mean, a lot of the issues, frankly, and we talked about Mark Zuckerberg earlier, that he has struggled with, that Elon Musk is contending with, relates to the news business, relates to information in a different way.
Right. I think every company has a different mission. Every company is different. The mission that we have is to inspire creativity and to bring joy. And the product that we have built is a product that is built to fulfill this mission. So that means that, does news content inspire creativity? Yes. Does it bring joy? Yes. And that's the kind of content that we have built our product to try and optimize for. On misinformation, it violates our guidelines. So we do have a very significant, large investment in making sure that we're tackling misinformation. So that, is one of the guidelines that's very dear to us.
We've talked about it practically now at every session. What do you think about a TikTok? I'm sorry, you are TikTok.
I think it's great. I think platform safety is something that's incredibly important.
So you have 2 kids?
I do.
Do they use TikTok?
No, they're too young for that.
So what ages are they?
8 and 6.
Okay.
TikTok is, here in the US, if you're below 13, you get a very restricted version of TikTok. And in many other countries around the world, we don't allow users who are below 13. Even if you are a teenager, we have invested in a lot of tools for the parents of the teenagers to be able to have more control. Now, if you're a parent here and your teenage child is on TikTok, go to settings, there's family pairing, click on it, it's going to give you a lot of tools to manage your teenager's experience.
I know it's a secret sauce, but can you tell us how the algorithm actually works? Because I think everybody, it's fascinating how frequently it is sending you stuff that you want to see. And whether that's a good thing, by the way.
It's just math. That's what it is. The way the machine learning algorithm works is that it takes all your behavioral signals, which is built into your own experience you're using the app. Like, for example, how long you stay on a video, how quickly you swipe it, do you share it, do you comment, do you like it? It takes those behavioral signals, it organizes it mathematically, and it matches it with content that matches with your behavior. And this is really fascinating because what we have discovered over time is that through our app, people have discovered their communities. It can be very trivial. Like, if you're a dog lover, you're going to see a lot of dogs. If you don't like cats, you're not going to see cats. If you're a cat lover, you're going to see a lot of cats.
But I'm aware of some sort of personal tragedies that come from people who spend time on TikTok. So, for example, a lot of young women in particular, young girls.
Hi, Maggie Wilderotter. Thank you so much for being here. One of the questions I had was based upon what you just spoke about. You mentioned a number of countries that they are able to have kids watch TikTok and experience it at 13. But you said in the United States there's an exception, like a different app that takes it down into younger children. Why do you do that in the US?
It is a legal requirement. It is a legal requirement to provide people below a certain age, in this case under 13, a different app. So you will see this is why all consumer apps have an under 13 experience in the US. I'm sorry?
I think
I can share more details with you offline, but this is a legal requirement in the United States. Yeah.
Meus caros, nem tudo é o que parece. Há nuances de cinza na história. É mais complexo do que muita gente imagina. Parece que o governo dos Estados Unidos que fez a grande merda. Por que será? Pra quê?
It's oh so still.